This week I am hosting a giveaway. I'll be giving away a young adult's fantasy novel. I'm actually going to pick it up today, so it's TBD. I'm not exactly sure which one. But if you want to get a young adult fantasy novel sent directly to your house, all you have to do is go to my website and sign up for my mailing list. Even if you don't win this particular book, and then you'll still get chapters from my upcoming debut novel and all kinds of other goodies as well. Right now you have a really good chance of winning. I'm trying to build my mailing list so it's still fairly small. Anybody on the list, current or new, will be entered in that drawing. So if you're interested in getting a free book for Christmas, then by all means go and sign up. I'm going to be drawing names on the 15th, and so if you're watching this after December 15th, 2018, I'm afraid that the giveaway has already ended, but if you watch this before, then you are in luck, and hopefully you will win a book. Hey, welcome back to my channel. My name is Carly Stevens and this is English Nerd. Today I wanted to give you 6 ways to brainstorm. So this is great if you're trying to plan characters or plots for a story. This is also good just to keep up that writing habit even during the busy holiday season. This will keep you thinking creatively, and it won't be as much of a formal process as maybe writing a novel. If you participated in NaNoWriMo, then you've definitely had a lot of practice with writing a novel. This is much less formal. So here are 6 ways that you can brainstorm effectively, at least that I've seen. Number 1 is lists. I am a huge list person. I have a pad of paper that's long and I make to-do lists almost every day, or lists of movies that I really like, or character traits for a particular character, or I love lists. And so if you have a character that you're trying to build and flesh out, maybe consider writing a list of a bunch of traits that may or may not actually appear in the story, but give you a depth of understanding of who that person is. What kind of foods do they like? How do they speak when they're nervous? You know, just listing, I think, can be really great. Or scenes that you really like from movies or from books that you would consider going back and analyzing or figuring out how they made those things so awesome. So number 1 is just lists. Number 2 is making a bubble map. I know this is kind of elementary school level, but hey, we're looking at brainstorming here. So bubble map is just taking one word or one idea and then basically creating a cloud map of it where you'll branch off from that word and say, okay, my main subject is love, and then what comes to mind? These 4 things. Okay, so over here, then what comes to mind, or what do I associate with this idea? And then you continue the same process until it sort of grows into this bubble map, which gives you a lot of depth of ideas stemming from that one idea. It is pretty elementary, but hey, we're just trying to get the juices flowing here. We're not trying to create a masterpiece quite yet, although we could use these ideas to do that. Number 3, and these are roughly in order of difficulty, I guess, or investment. I mean, none of them really are that difficult, but number 3 is what I like to call a picture is worth 1,000 words. So find maybe a book of life photography, or go to some funky stock photos or something. Choose one and then just free write about it. What do you think is happening in this scene? Why do you think this is happening? Who are these people, if there are people involved? So that's another great way to just keep that creative energy going. Number 4 is what I like to call a Sherlock level observation. So what I have done in the past for my creative writing classes is I'll have people take a piece of paper and a pen, and then they'll just go to a different part of my classroom than they would normally go, so they're allowed to sit on the floor, for instance, instead of in their desks. And they have to look as carefully as they can at different items around the room and try to figure out something about a classmate or about me. You know, what can they figure out based on this really close observation of the items in the room and things like that. So maybe you could go to a coffee shop and just start making these really close observations. Even if you don't end up having one of those Sherlock rapid fire epiphanies where you understand everything about the person, that's highly unlikely. You'll at least have some really good fodder for descriptions that are realistic and specific and just meaningful, because these details are what make up our lives. And so that's another great way to go. Okay, the next one is playing the what if game. So I did this a lot as I was putting together my novel that is coming out in the summertime. I had almost finished it back when I was a teenager, but then I wrote the last bit and then rewrote the middle and did all this stuff anyway. So I asked myself, okay, what if this happened? What if this happened? And sometimes it was really silly stuff, like, well, what if this person just dropped dead? Or what if these two people got together? Or what if everything burned down? Or whatever. But I found that was fantastic for coming up with out-of-the-box ideas for where the plot could go, and was just a great source of creative energy when I wasn't sure what to do next. So just writing out a list of what ifs is a wonderful way to create plot when you're stuck, and well, I'm sure there are other uses for it as well, but that's generally what I use it for, those what ifs. And then finally, if you really aren't sure what to do and you have some time to actually devote to writing, then I would suggest trying some imitative writing. So back in high school, I had an assignment where I had to, I read the Screw Tape Letters by C.S. Lewis, which is, if you haven't read it, it's a series of letters written from one demon to a demon in training about how to tempt mankind. And so it's ultimately about how to avoid temptation, of course, but all the language is kind of flipped because our protagonists are on the evil side. So I had just read that, and I got the assignment to write my own Screw Tape letter in the style of C.S. Lewis. Since I'd read so many of these letters, it was pretty easy to absorb that formal style and write a letter that sounded like one that would belong in the book. So if you have a writer that you really admire or that has a super distinct style, read a bit of their stuff and then try imitating their style. Not permanently, I'm not saying become them, try to publish something that's exactly like them, but it can teach you new ways of writing, or it can kind of loosen up that inner voice because you are not creating your own writer voice or using your own writer voice, but instead you are using somebody else's. It's kind of like if you write fan fiction, I hear that sometimes that can be a lot easier than creating your own world because the world's already built in for you. Here the voice is already built in for you. So it's a great exercise. I would suggest it. So that is all I have for you today.